Health and nutrition conversations often focus on familiar names: protein, vitamin D, omega-3, magnesium. These are nutrients that many people recognize immediately. Yet some nutrients receive far less attention despite playing important roles within the body. One example is chromium. For many people, chromium is a mineral they have never heard of. Yet it continues to attract growing attention within discussions around blood sugar regulation, energy management, insulin function, and metabolic health. This naturally raises the question: what exactly is chromium and why are people talking about it? Chromium is a trace mineral. The word trace simply means that the body requires it in relatively small amounts. Although only small quantities are needed, trace minerals can still play important roles in normal physiological processes. Chromium is best known for its involvement in carbohydrate metabolism and the body's use of insulin. To understand why that matters, it helps to briefly understand insulin itself. When we eat foods containing carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose. Glucose enters the bloodstream and can then be used by cells as a source of energy. Insulin acts like a messenger. Its job is to help move glucose from the bloodstream into cells where it can be used. Chromium has been studied because of its relationship with this process. This is one reason it frequently appears in conversations around blood sugar regulation and metabolic health. At first glance, that may sound like a technical discussion reserved for scientists and healthcare professionals. But the reality is that many people encounter the effects of blood sugar regulation in everyday life. They may experience energy fluctuations. They may notice cravings. They may feel energetic after one meal and sluggish after another. They may find themselves searching for snacks during the afternoon despite having eaten earlier in the day. While many factors influence these experiences, blood sugar regulation is often part of the conversation. This is why chromium continues to attract attention. Not because people are fascinated by minerals, but because they are interested in the experiences connected to energy, appetite, and food choices. One of the most interesting aspects of nutrition is that knowledge alone is really the entire challenge. Most people already know that vegetables are healthy. Most people understand the importance of balanced meals. Most people have heard that excessive sugar intake can create problems. Yet knowing what to do and consistently doing it are often very different things. This is where conversations around cravings and energy become particularly relevant. Many people discover that food choices are influenced not only by knowledge but also by how they feel. When energy levels drop, convenience often becomes more appealing. When cravings increase, planned choices may become harder to maintain. When appetite fluctuates, consistency can become more challenging. This is one reason discussions around chromium continue to grow, because it sits within a broader conversation about energy management, appetite, and metabolic health. Another question people often ask is where chromium can be found naturally. Fortunately, chromium is present in a variety of foods. Food sources include broccoli, green beans, whole grains, potatoes, eggs, lean meats, and some other minimally processed foods. As with many nutrients, obtaining minerals from a balanced diet remains an important foundation. However, chromium is also available as a dietary supplement, which is why it frequently appears within health and wellness discussions. At this point, it is important to maintain perspective. Chromium is not a miracle supplement. It does not replace healthy eating. It does not eliminate the need for physical activity. It does not compensate for poor sleep. And it does not remove the importance of long-term lifestyle habits. Instead, chromium should be viewed as one small part of a much larger conversation. Health outcomes are rarely determined by a single nutrient, a single food, or a single supplement. More often, they are influenced by patterns repeated over time: eating habits, physical activity, sleep quality, stress management, food choices, recovery, and consistency. What makes chromium interesting is not simply the mineral itself. It is what the conversation around chromium reveals. It reminds us that blood sugar regulation influences more than laboratory numbers. It influences how people feel, how they manage energy, how they experience hunger, and how easy or difficult it may feel to maintain healthy habits. That is why chromium continues to attract attention within nutrition and metabolic health discussions. Not because it is a magic answer, but because it is connected to questions that many people ask every day. Why am I craving sugar? Why does my energy crash? Why do some days feel easier than others? Why can consistency sometimes feel so difficult? Understanding chromium will not answer every one of those questions, but it can help us better understand one of the many systems involved. And understanding is often where better decisions begin. because when we understand more about how the body manages energy, glucose, and metabolism, we are better equipped to make informed choices that support long-term health and well-being.